Hey guys, well, we are live. Hey, it's Benjamin Dane. I play Noah in Struck the Series and had a few technical issues there for a second. But we are here today. I've got an incredible show for us today. I'm so excited about this because we've got two Rogers for the price of one. We have Roger Losier, who is the original climber with John D. Morris, who was struck by lightning. He's going to tell his story. And also, we have the actor that's playing Roger, Gabe Baker. So, this is going to be an incredible time. I want to remind you guys that please make sure you follow and share. This is important because we are trying to get this epic streaming series off the ground and we need your help. So, tell your friends, let them know what we're all about here. Let them know that we are an incredible, epic streaming series that we're just getting off the ground because we're kind of opening up the curtain so that you guys can see what's happening in distribution. Right now, you can go to strucktheseries.com, and that's going to allow you to find out a little bit more about Struck the Series. And with that, you can also check on merchandise. You can check the cast. You can find out what's going on with the whole thing. It's just a really great website. And so go to strucktheseries.com. Let other people know about it and follow us on socials. We've got to get our social fan follow up. So go to Facebook and you can click on Facebook there at strucktheseries.com, or you can click on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. There's like all of them are on there, but make sure you tell your family and friends, let them know about this. And so we're going to get started. What I first want to do is I want to show you guys just the what we're all about here. I'm going to show you guys the trailer because we're going to be talking about the trailer, and I want you guys to see it. We're going to show the 2-minute version of the trailer because as we talk with both Rogers, we're going to talk about the scene. We're going to talk about what exactly happened on Mount Ararat. It's going to be fun. But let me show you guys the trailer. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you there's going to be a special announcement. So make sure you guys stay till the end to hear the special announcement. And then, two, I want you to listen to the interviews because we're gonna have a contest today. And you're going to be able to win $25 in free Struck gear, but you have to listen because someone's going to say something during the interviews, and I'm going to ask a question, and the first person that can comment live, the answer wins the $25 in Struck gear. So make sure you listen. I'm going to announce that again, but hold on. So here is Struck the Series.
We need to get out of the store! Maybe we should go back! No! No, we've come too far!
Thought this might be of interest to you.
The Ark. Real page turner.
Just read it, let me know what you think.
Dad, isn't this the type of thing that got you kicked out of Virginia Tech?
Jehovah is God.
Noah.
And he is bringing his judgment to the earth. He's covering it completely with a flood. He commanded me to build this ship. First, look at me, Lord. You know this.
Maybe we should go back! Get out of here! Jimmy!
I feel so lost.
We are not lost. We are together.
I could end up in a wheelchair in a year or so. I could get so bad that I can't provide for you or raise kids.
When I met you, I believed in you. And then because of who you are and how you are, I believed in Jehovah.
So if God has given you the grace to get this far, then he will give us the grace to make this work.
There it is. So if it's up there and we find it,
Yeah?
what happens then?
We changed the world.
All right. There you go. There you have it. So that is Struck, the 2-minute version of the promo trailer that we're doing right now. We're presenting that to distributors. You can see the full version of the 5-minute proof of concept when you go to strucktheseries.com. So make sure you do that. Now, okay, let me introduce our first guest. Roger Losier is a man who was with the original climbing team. I'm going to let him talk about that. But he was part of the 1972 climbing expedition that you saw in the trailer when they were all struck by lightning. And miraculously, they all survived. And Roger's going to tell you a little bit more about that. So let's introduce Roger. This is the real life Roger. Oh my gosh. So there you are.
Great. Yeah. Good to be with you, Ben.
Yes. Thank you so much, Roger, for joining us. And I want to find out a little bit more about what actually happened. How old were you when you guys started this climb, and how did it all come about?
Well, I was 23 years old, and while I was graduating from college at Dallas Bible College, I was reading a book by Violet Cummings called Noah's Ark, Fact or Fable. And it really intrigued me. And I, you know, being a Bible student and the desire to authenticate, you know, some of the scriptures there from Genesis, I thought, well, this would be an interesting thing. Besides that, I had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and a number of other mountains. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to see if there's a group that's going to go over and try to discover where the Ark is. And that's how it all came about. And then I had gone down to Houston, was talking to some people, and found out a guy that had known John Morris and put me in touch with him. And that's how we began to communicate. And after a few letters, he invited me to come on and join the team.
You were 23 years old, but you had already climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Is that right?
Yes, I have climbed Kilimanjaro 3 times when I was 12, 13, and 14 years old.
Oh gosh. That is incredible. I mean, that's kind of rare, isn't it? Someone that young would climb.
Yeah, it was, but I went to a school in Nairobi, Kenya. At the high school, there was a guy that had the record for climbing up and down Mount Kilimanjaro. And so he was one of the teachers, and he put together some expeditions each year to go climb it. So that's how I got in on it. And I thought, oh, this is great. You know, we've got the world record holder, and he held that record for quite some time in the Guinness Book of Records.
Well, I've got right now, I'm going to add here this is your parents. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
And so your parents, tell me a little bit about them, because weren't they were missionaries to Africa, and were you born then in Africa?
I was. Yeah, my parents went out to Africa, Kenya, East Africa, in 1938, just before the war. And so they had gone out to Kenya, and this was their first time to be missionaries. And of course, then all of us kids were born over there. So they did over 43 years of missionary service there before they came back to the United States and retired. But we were born there, and so I was brought up in Maasai land in the Rift Valley area, and in an area called Narak. And so this is where the Maasai tribe had their warriors and the spears, long spears, and they would, that's the group I was brought up with, well, certainly around. And so I got to see a lot of Kilimanjaro and a lot of the game areas where there's all these big herds of animals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've got a photo there now. That's when you were a boy there Is that at the base of Kilimanjaro? Is that up in the mountain?
No, that's up on the saddle of Mount Kilimanjaro. There's twin peaks there, Kibo and Mwenzi. And right before you go up Kibo, which is the highest, tallest peak, the big round dome, there's what is called Kibo Hut. And that's where I'm standing before we do the final ascent. It takes you 3 days to go up the mountain and 2 days down.
Oh.
So we were there with the school team and getting ready to make our final ascent.
Wow. Wow. That is incredible. Yeah, I've also got a photo here of you when about the age that you were when I think you were climbing with John Morris.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. We did some training on Mount Hood and did some ice technical training with the Luke Jerstad School. They were the first Americans up Mount Everest, and they had a school there in Oregon. And so it was a good one. We wanted to learn the technical ice climbing, and that's what that picture's about.
That's incredible. So I just want to remind everyone that you can comment live, and right now we've got Cindy on board. We've got Annette on board. So, hey, Annette. Hey, Cindy. Great to have you guys on. And just remember, you guys, you can comment live. You can ask questions live, and I'll try to get to them if possible during the interviews. So, yeah. So here we go. This is with all of the group that was climbing in 1972. Is that right?
Yes. There was John Morris, John Bultema, and John Sider and Bill Ellison, and then myself, second from the right. And we were up on this is a picture right up on top of Mount Hood after we did some glacier climbing on the final ascent.
So you guys did some training on Mount Hood before you went out to Mount Ararat.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So what was the feeling like of going out for the first time to Mount Ararat to hopefully discover the Ark? How did you guys feel?
Well, it took us quite a while. We had to travel about 500 miles east to go from Ankara all the way down to the border of Turkey and Russia. And things got more primitive the further east we went. And when we saw the mountain, it was an awesome sight. It's a big mountain. It's 500 square miles all around the base. And so it was a very exciting time for us to get there and look at the mountain, and we were ready to go from the start.
Oh my gosh. I bet, we shot a scene and we haven't shared this yet, but we shot a scene of the three of you guys in the VW van, on your way to climb. And so it was a really wonderful scene. I can't wait for people to see that. Well, so tell me what happened. You guys were struck by lightning. And in the trailer that we just showed, you see there's this rock and there was this blizzard, and you guys were trying to find shelter. And it looked like JB had thought the shelter was this large rock, but it actually was where the center of the lightning strikes were. So tell us what happened. How did that all come about when you guys were climbing?
Well, we were on a steep glacier heading up towards, we wanted to get to around 15,000 feet to look down into some crevice areas and a canyon. And so we had to go up this finger glacier. Well, the day started off really nice with the nice weather, but once we got up about 3/4 of the way up the glacier, we noticed that storm clouds were coming in. And if you know anything about mountain weather, that the weather can change instantaneously. And so when that comes in there, we ended up in a blizzard. A blizzard came on us. We couldn't see but a few feet in front of us. And the footing was getting so bad with all the snowfall that we had to rope up and get across to some rocks. And as we were doing this, lightning was striking all around us. Not just one bolt, but just lightning constantly snapping. You could hear the electricity. And JB had a big beard on him, and his beard was sticking straight out, and there was a lot of static electricity in the air. In fact, the ice adze on our ice axe, the adze, which is that claw part of the ice axe, began to sing. It hummed. There was we knew we were in a bad situation, and we tried to get over to some shelter there. And we came to a rock, and that's when a bolt of lightning hit that and transferred through the rock and hit all three of us. And it struck us each of us, and I flew out immediately. I do not remember it hitting me. It knocked me out cold and threw me out on the glacier. John Bolton and John Morris both were conscious when this all took place, and they got thrown out into the glacier with me. And so we were laying there. I was unconscious, but the two of them conscious, except that they realized that they had no movement from their hips down. So they were paralyzed, laying in the snow and the blizzard and all the bolts of lightning coming down. So it was one of those treacherous times that you thought, this must be it. We're not going to make it out of this. But God had a different story for us.
That's just incredible. I think that, I mean, to be struck like that, I mean, most people don't survive. So you were unconscious. The other two were conscious after they were struck. Mm-hmm. What happened to you after being struck?
Well, I was laying down in the snow. They said there was blood on the snow there. But neither of them could come to me. They were trying to coax me over to where they were. So what happened was I was not conscious at the time, but I did get up and I sat on a rock and looked at them and wondered what they're doing there. And John Morris said, I didn't like them or something like that. And so I didn't come up to where they were, but then somehow he did coax me to come up to where he was and bring one of the packs up to them. And I remember coming to as John was putting a down parka around me, because I was in a stage of shock. They said I was very white, in complexion. And as he put that warmth around me, I came to, and it was like coming out of a fog. I had no clue, and I had amnesia at the time. I didn't know what I was looking at. So it took me a little while to come to, and they kept telling me where we were. And then my memory started to come back.
Wow.
Can't claim that it's come back all the way yet.
So you guys called it a day and went home, right?
Well, we didn't go home. We went to the top of the, JB was paralyzed longer than John was. John was laying there, and he started to get some feeling into his legs. JB it took him more than an hour to get his feeling back. So we went in the blizzard. We managed to get to the top of the top of the ridge, and then we set up camp there and in the middle of the blizzard and just tried to warm ourselves. So it was a treacherous situation, and we were very happy to be alive. And it was an awesome thing because we started singing hymns, and we read some of the Bible, and we're thankful to God. So I remember that it was just a great time of relief and thanksgiving,
I can't even imagine. But you guys went on after that. I mean, you just kept going.
Yeah, we did the next day. The next day, it was a beautiful sunny day, so we were able to climb up further and traverse some of the glacier areas, looking down into areas that we were wanting to look at and take pictures. And
wow, that's incredible. So what? How's your life been? I mean, were you did you climb after that? Did you work with John again?
I did the next year. John invited me to go with him again. So we trained on Mount Rainier, and then we went to Turkey, but we couldn't get permits that in 1973. So 72 was the one where we spent a whole month actually climbing on the mountain. And we spent 6 weeks in Turkey, whereas in 73, it was about a week and a half. We couldn't get our permits, and we had to we could take some pictures from down below of the glaciers and so forth,
Mhm.
but we were not able to go back up there and climb.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the stories I've heard from John and some of the other stories I've heard, with the attack of the dogs, and and the issues, the avalanches, the issues that the climbers had, with the government and trying to get permits, and it just was incredible that you guys even made it on the mountain,
Yeah.
or went up as high as you did, searching for the Ark. Well, okay, so I'm going to put you on hold, and then we're going to come back to you because I've got some other questions I want to find out a little bit more about you and what's going on in your life today. But so stay tuned, and then I want to talk about Gabe Baker. Gabe actually is the actor that is playing Roger in the series. And so Gabe is here as well. And I mean, this is incredible. Gabe, you guys, I think he went to Rice. He played football. He's an athlete. He was a ninja warrior on television. He's a musician. He's an actor, of course, a model, but he also is one of the newest members of For King and Country, and which is an incredible contemporary Christian band that I've enjoyed for years. And Gabe is now one of the members. I just couldn't believe that when I found that out, Gabe.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat thing still for me.
It's just so cool, man.
Thanks.
I'm so glad. And when we cast Gabe in the role of Roger, we had no idea that he was a musician, and that he also, I mean, you guys, he's an incredible, talented musician and vocalist as well. But we had no idea. When did the whole thing happen with For King and Country?
Yeah, that happened after we initially had shot everything. And so
okay.
I joined, I got asked to audition for a role in the band in March of this year. And thankfully it was right before the spring tour, about a week and a half before the spring tour. I got reached out to by Joel, one of the brothers, the lead brothers. And yeah, I got the role, which is amazing. So it was a very surprising thing that came kind of out of nowhere. That's kind of how opportunities come,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. It's so cool, man. I just and I had the distinct pleasure of actually being in Nashville during the Dove Awards that I actually had purchased a fan experience from my wife, because she's actually a vocalist and she's very musical. Amazing. And so I wanted to treat her to the Dove Awards, and who's up on stage but Gabe Baker with For King and Country.
Yeah, that was so that was really special.
It was such a great experience, and we actually had a chance to go by and see you before the Dove Awards. You were playing a gig, and it was just great seeing you in your element. Yeah,
that was sweet too. Yeah,
that was so cool. But here you are as a ninja warrior. I'm like, what? Like, okay, so tell us about the Ninja Warrior thing.
Sure. So you mentioned I played football in college, and I've been an athlete my whole life, which I'm grateful for. And I really have spent most of my life on that side of the creative life, I guess you could put it in one way. So I've spent more time. I've been doing music for a long time too, but sports was like the main focus for most of my life. And so I've definitely an athlete full through. And once I left my college football days, as a competitor still, I was curious of just finding ways to compete and get into different avenues of competition. And I had a good friend. I was living in Houston at the time still. I had a good friend who was in the Ninja Warrior competition space, the obstacle course racing world, if you will. And I told him, like, hey, if I don't make it, playing pro football, I'm going to come start training with you. And then after I jumped out of the football life, I'd started training, and that I was in the Ninja Warrior realm. So it was kind of just, again, following a curiosity. And as these kind of reality shows tend to work. If the producers kind of have a connection with you and your story, there's a decent chance you can kind of make your way in the space. And so I'm grateful to have made it on the show a couple times, a few times, and it's kind of just turned into just another fun thing that I'm grateful to have discovered I am capable of doing. And I figured now that I'm really in the on-screen world, as the more skills, the better kind of thing. And so I've kind of just embraced it for what it is.
Yeah, no, it's such a great thing. I think too, because being athletic the way you are and being cast as a climber, just talking to Roger, starting at such a young age, climbing, you were also an athlete at a young age and starting, everything that you've done as well. It just plays out really well. There was a reason why we cast you in this role, I think.
Right. There's right.
But
it's working in a cool way.
It's kind of a God thing, all those things, kind of how they work together. Well, so tell me a little bit about you are a cellist. Mm-hmm. Is that how, that seems to be your main instrument that you play. So tell me a little bit more about being a cellist.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the youngest of three, and both my parents are musical and both athletes as well. And so we had a very musical household growing up, a lot of just exposure to the fine arts and different instruments. And my mom introduced me to the idea of the cello. She was a violinist and a pianist, and she could sing as well. And so just a musical household. And I was introduced to the opportunity to pick up an instrument, classical instrument. My older brother played the upright bass. My eldest sister played the violin. So it was kind of just a bit of a family influence in a great way. And so I picked it up around the 4th grade, and was grateful just to be in a community of relationships, that being with school and obviously with family, and then friends at school, in which we had I know it's very rare, and I find it very rare nowadays that in elementary school, 5th grade, we had a orchestra in my elementary school for those in the 5th grade. And all that to say, I stepped into, playing the cello around that time, and was grateful to find a bit of a middle ground between the athletics and the fine art side, all the way through school. And so it's been a beautiful part of my life. One of my favorite decisions I've ever made in my life to step into playing this instrument. And just as of 3 years ago, I moved to Nashville to pursue a career in music. It's the first time I've really delved into putting professional hours and time and the networking, all the things that it takes to build a career in this as an entertainer. And so it's cool to actually, live as a musician full time now, because I wasn't doing that. And it was always kind of just a side hobby, if you will. And so that's a bit of a piece of the cello world. I love it. It's my favorite instrument for sure.
It's interesting because it's not a run-of-the-mill instrument. It's very unusual that people would play a cello. I think
it is.
Keyboards, maybe drums, guitar, of course, but a cello.
No, I'm great. I'm grateful, and I definitely understand the uniqueness of it, and it's such a beautiful instrument that I'm glad that was the one I've leaned into for sure.
But that's not all you play, right?
I play guitar. Guitar is the other one I'm the most skillful at of the instruments, and playing in for King, it kind of exposes you in a good forceful way to learn other instruments, just the nature of their shows. And so I'm picking up playing piano a lot more. Everyone plays drums in the band, so different kind of percussion things is something I've stepped into picking up of late too. So
it's pretty incredible. When I was there and we saw you guys live, it was just phenomenal. And now you're on tour, is that right?
We are just getting ready for Christmas tour. Yeah. So we had about a week full of rehearsals last week, and we hit the road this coming Thursday night, just Thanksgiving night, for our first couple Christmas shows this weekend. And we'll be kind of rolling through the rest of November through December out there for this great Christmas tour. They have a great show.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
blast.
So I was just glad we got you before the tour.
Yeah, same here. I'm super glad it worked out. Me too.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So okay, so tell me a little bit more about playing Roger. Here you are. Oh, I wanted to just say we've got Annette on here. We've got Kathy Haley here. We've got Candy Rose who just joined. Hey, Candy, good to see you. So great. Thanks, ladies, for joining today. We really appreciate that. And you can ask questions live if you want. You can comment live. I want to remind everybody that we're going to give away $25 in free Struck gear. So make sure you listen to the question or listen to the interviews, because I'm going to ask a question and you got to make sure you get it right, because the first person that gets it right actually wins the $25 live. So in Struck gear. So make sure you guys do that. But tell me a little bit about the shooting of the scene where the climbers were struck by lightning. I was there when you guys were shooting,
right?
And I saw the potato flakes and and the green tarp, behind you guys.
Yeah.
How was it shooting all that? How did you feel? Because I think it was like 67 degrees or something like that. You guys had your climbing gear on and everything, your coat. So
that was a fun day in general. Right. It was maybe end of January last year. And I remember it being a very mild day, like mid 60s, blue skies, sun was out. And you have to shoot this blizzard scene in the mountains, right?
Yes.
So that's where the movie magic comes in. And so it was very cool for me to be able to experience that creative process of like, how do you tell a story and create the scenery around it so that you can create an environment that is for the story like that. And so they had I think it was like the snow on the floor was like a powdered like mashed potato kind of thing. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but it looked pretty good. It looked pretty foamy and like soft like snow in different ways, but it was very squishy, very slippery. So you had to kind of watch your steps. And when the scene, every time this, cameras were rolling, as you mentioned, the fans were blowing, and they had these potato flakes that they're blowing in the fans to make the effect of the swirling snow. And then there was a bit of some flashing lights to get the lightning effect here and there. And again, I love that because it's the physicality of acting as well. So it's kind of living in the space and really being present in the moment of the scene that you're really trying to embody. And that was really fun.
Really, I mean, more than anything, an actor has to use his imagination.
Absolutely. Yes.
In reality, there's 40 people standing around in front of a green tarp,
That's right. Yeah.
And, you got to create this reality where you see the lightning, where you see the blizzard, where you feel it, and it just came off so phenomenally. I mean, when people see it, they're like, "Where'd you guys go to shoot that?"
Right. It's
like, well, it was a parking lot.
It's a parking lot in west of Dallas Fort Worth, in a parking lot at a studio.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah.
So how did it feel once because you were there, you were there, right? But how did it feel when you actually saw it all finished and you see it in the trailer? How did it feel?
Yeah, it was very accomplishing, for sure. I was very impressed as well. Just the VFX and the editing to make it come to life for what it was, and knowing what we were doing and where we were at, and just to see all the pieces come together to make it look as real as it does. It was very cool just to see the before and after, because when you're there, of course, you're just acting in the moments. You're trying to make it a real experience in the moment, and you never know, like, oh, how real is this going to look? Is it going to look cheesy? Is it going to look, but they did a phenomenal job.
They really did. And I think Wes Llewellyn did an incredible job because he composited everything. He added all the the snow effects. I mean, we
Yes.
had the
Yes.
potato flakes flying in the wind. And we had, we had the light, like you said, the lights, but then he
Mhm.
added all the snow, the mountains behind.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see, there's more in depth of that. We created a video called Snow Day, and that was on episode 1 of Struck Live. So you might still be able to catch it if you go on to Facebook. You can click on the video and see the interview with Wes and Amanda, but you can actually see how they created the snow effects and the mountain effects and this movie magic that happens. But I think as an actor, you're like going, okay, is this going to work?
Absolutely.
I'm putting myself into this.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
seeing the lightning, but
Mhm,
is it going to
mhm.
really work when it's
Yeah.
all put together?
Yep.
But-
Yep. And that's the funnest part about acting as well. That I still feel very new in the space as a whole, and being on set in different types of set environments. And so it is the fun part of being like, oh, okay, let me just do my job and they'll take care of the rest of it.
So how does it feel playing a real person?
Playing a real person, there's a good kind of pressure behind it, right? Because you want to be you, and as an actor, you want to make the choices that you feel like are going to serve the role and the situation. But of course, you want to honor this person that you're actually telling the story of, and there's a responsibility that you carry with understanding the story of the character. And again, me and actual Roger, we are not the same person in many regards. And that's okay, right? But then I think being able to still be able to tell his character's story in a way that represents him as best as possible is the fun challenge of it. And it's the good pressure, the good responsibility that I'm grateful to carry and step into.
Well, I want to bring on the real Roger.
The real Roger.
There he is.
But it sounds like that Gabe had more fun than I did on that.
We definitely had, yes, a safer experience. I'll put it that way, maybe.
You guys were both struck by lightning. One was
one was just a little more imaginary. Yeah, that's right.
I want to remind everyone. So we've got Tina Yeager on. Hey, Tina. Hey, Teresa. Teresa's on too. So make sure if you guys have any questions, ask your questions. But I'm going to remind everybody to make sure you listen to the interviews, because we're going to have a bit of trivia. I'm going to ask you a question, and the first person that answers correctly that question will win $25 in free Struck gear. So we're going to do that today. Okay, I'm going to state the obvious here. I mean, Gabe, you just said it. You guys are different people. I realize that, but there's also, I don't know, how do I say this? Roger, you're Caucasian.
Yeah.
Gabe, you're African American.
That's right.
So,
Hey.
I'm like, okay, how did this happen?
Right.
Roger, what do you think about this? What can you give us any insight?
Well, I was born in Africa, so I'm an Afro-American, really.
That's right. You are.
But anyway, one thing, Gabe, is I speak one of the African languages, Swahili.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Jambo,
wow.
Marekani.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
So,
So how long were you there, Roger, in Africa?
I was there till I finished high school, and then came over when I was 18 years old to Dallas, and went to Dallas Bible College.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. So you really are an African American.
That's true. He is. He is.
Now, when you moved over, Roger, I know you were. I don't know how it works between Africa and the United States, but how did you become a U.S. citizen?
When I was born, I was registered at the consulate in Kenya, so I had automatic citizenship.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I know every country is a little bit different in how they do that. But you can have dual citizenships and all that. But do you still have a citizenship in Africa?
I do not. No. I've only had the one citizenship, and so we resided there. But it was interesting, that to go from that type of a culture to come to the United States. I was in awe of all the freeways and the cars, and I mean, it took me back. When I saw.
Yeah. It is a culture shock. I think we were vacationing in Mexico, and where we were, it was dirt streets, huts and very primitive structures. There were some nicer structures as well, but it's like a whole different world. When I came back, I was like, wow, because we were there for 2 weeks. And it is a culture shock. You come here, everything's so pristine and nice, and there's so many opportunities here in the States that might be not in other countries. But well, good guys. So is this the first time you guys have actually seen each other?
Yes, it is. I've seen pictures of you. That's about it.
All right.
It's first time. This is great.
Well, it's nice to meet you. It sounds like you're more talented than I am. So
oh, no. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I'm just throwing things at the wall.
Roger, do you have a musical background at all?
I used to play trumpet in the band in high school.
Amazing. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have not pursued that,
Right. Well, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a contest today, and I'm going to mention something. I'm going to ask a question, and whoever is the first person to answer that question correct will receive $25 in free Strut gear. So it's going to happen soon. But so this was back in your first climb was in 1972. What you went on to climb, you said the next year after that in 73?
We were going to try. We were attempting to climb. We went to Mount Rainier and did some training there.
Okay.
On Rainier before we took a different team. John and I we had a different team. Went in 73, but we were not able to get permits at that time. So that one it didn't get off the ground too well.
Right. So what happened? I think what we're going to do in Struck is we're going to explore more of really what happened on the mountain and the reason behind it. As I mentioned earlier, we just shot a scene with Gabe playing Roger, Todd Terry, who's incredible in the role of JB, and then Todd Denson, who plays John Morris. But Gabe, talk a little bit about that scene, because I think that what I like about that scene is that it's really going to be something that shows the camaraderie of the climbers, and also some tensions that they may have had. So talk a little bit about that scene without giving too much away.
Sure. And I'm assuming the VW scene you're talking about. Yeah. Well, the scene was fun. We're in this classic VW, and it's a moment of, again, this is me also learning different details about the actual journey in the place of telling the role on set, and John, JB, and Roger, they're facing a lot of challenges with logistics and resources being available to keep them just sustainable in this very unpredictable, difficult journey that they're trying to go on. And in the vehicle, they're talking about what's going to work and how's this going to come together. And Roger is in this position of kind of putting it out there, like playing like, hey, we don't have this. What are we going to do? And there's the tension of, John and JB at different angles of trying to, settle things down, like, hey, relax, we'll figure it out. Or God's, and mainly it comes down to be like, we ought to trust in the faithfulness of God through this, even though things are unpredictable. And so I think there's that scene is a really good example, from my understanding and learning of it as well, of the character dynamics through a very challenging and difficult journey that it is, and in the space of how does one trust in God moving and directing and leading in the space of unpredictability.
Well, one of the things that you said, I thought that was interesting, Roger, earlier, is that you said after you're struck by lightning, you guys continue climbing and you were singing hymns.
Yeah.
And just thanking God for the miraculous that you guys all survived being struck by lightning. But in this scene that Gabe is talking about, what's so great is that there were some tensions in the van, but what happens is John breaks out in a hymn, and they all three start singing the hymn. And it's just something we really wanted to capture. It was something that Wes and Amanda really felt strongly about, showing John's character, that he really loved God, and he really he would sing hymns quite frequently. And in fact, when I went to the memorial service back in January, they talked about John, that how he loved singing and how he loved singing hymns, and it wasn't so important for his faith. It just kind of like elevated his faith. So I'm so excited that we got that scene in there, because it shows his character, shows who he was. But okay, guys, I'm going to come back here, and we're going to talk about the contest. I'm going to have the guys come back in a second, but we've got this contest today, and I'm going to ask you guys a question, and the first person that can comment live the answer will win $25 in free Struck gear. And I've got a special announcement too, so stay tuned for that. But the question is, when did John, JB, and Roger make their first climb? What year did they make their first climb? So the first person that can answer that correctly, then they will win the $25 in Struck gear. So comment live, let me know what that answer is, and then we will award that special prize today. Tina Tina says 1972. Yes, and that is correct. So Tina wins $25 in free Struck gear. So thanks, Tina, for that. I appreciate it. That's fantastic. The first climb was in 1972. The second one was in 1973. And then they continue climbing for, I think John did a total of 13 expeditions, but that's fantastic. Thanks, Tina, for that. And I will send you that code so you can order your Struck gear. And I want to remind you guys, I am wearing Struck by God here. This is the t-shirt. I've got this really cool Struck by God dog tag. You guys can see that. But there's mugs, and there's caps, embroidered caps, toboggans, pullovers. Now that it's winter, now that it's Christmas, you guys can make sure you order. And if you go online to strucktheseries.com, this is the cool thing. You guys can help us bring Struck the Series to an actual series, because all proceeds of the merchandise go to help get this series going. So we're going to use the proceeds to any sales of Struck merchandise will help us with distribution, not only the distribution, but also the development of the series. So you can order online now, and right now, from now until Christmas, we're doing this special promo code. It's just use Struck 10. When you do Struck 10, you are going to get, when you check out, you will actually get the 10% off. So that's a really great thing. So make sure you use the Struck 10. there in the promo code when you check out, and you'll get the 10% off. But listen, so those proceeds, every merch that we sell, the proceeds go to benefit the development of the series. So you're actually helping us. But what you do is when you buy some of this merchandise, it's the Struck by God collection. So you're making a stand for your faith to the people around you. It can be also a gift to someone you love, your family and friends. So make sure you purchase the merchandise. But then again, also you are helping us develop the series. So make sure you go to strucktheseries.com, click on merchandise, and you can see all this merch there. And like I said, there's a ton of different options there. It's all the Struck by God. Here's the cool thing too. I was going to make a new announcement, but here's the great thing about what we've got coming up. If we have a new collection called No More Rock Monsters, and No More Rock Monsters is kind of I don't know, it's kind of a fun take on the movie that was done by Russell Crowe, where they had rock monsters, which is kind of strange because rock monsters are not in the Bible. At least I don't remember them being in the Bible. They may be somewhere, but I don't think they were in the story of Noah. I don't remember any rock monsters. If you read the scriptures, you're going to know there were no rock monsters. So we're going to, this month, just in time for Christmas, we're going to introduce a new series. We've got the Struck by God series of merchandise, but we're also going to introduce No More Rock Monsters. So look for that. Now, I want to remind you guys to go online to strucktheseries.com also, because join the movement. If you click to join the movement, you can become a partner with us and join the Lightning Club. And the Lightning Club actually gets special advance notices of any new updates. And so when you join the Lightning Club, it gives you the opportunity to get a free newsletter every month. We contact you just once a month to let you know what's going on with the series, what the latest developments are. So you'll be the first in the know to know what's going on with the series. So make sure you do that. And also you can donate as well and become a Thunder partner. When you do that, there is a Lightning Prayer Journal devotional that you receive if you give $25 or more. So just like The Chosen, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get Struck the Series out there, and we're opening up to the public so the public can understand exactly what we're doing here. But it lets you guys know how all the processes work in going from proof of concept into full-blown series. So just like Chosen, it was a crowd-funded series, and now it's around the world. So Struck also wants to be around the world, and you can help by donating or becoming a member and just getting the word out about Struck. So that's an important thing. But so I want to just really just kind of bring the guys back on and talk a little bit more to them about their involvement in Struck the Series. So you guys, I mean, Roger, you climbed the mountain. You were a part of this thing, and how important? What would it do if the Ark was discovered? What would that do to our faith, the world? How would the world receive something like that?
Well, I think if the Ark were found, it would validate, in some people's, some skeptics would certainly look at it and go, we have a hard time, dismissing the story in Genesis. And I think it would be nice. We do know that the story in Genesis is, of course, true, but wouldn't it be nice to have something substantial that one could visit, look at, or at least see pictures of, that would validate, from the human standpoint, that this is a divine inspired book, Genesis itself, and that it would cause people, I think, to look again, to search and see what God has to say. And so I think in many ways it would be a great tool to use in evangelism. Yeah.
Right. So tell me, Gabe, how do you feel? What would happen if the Ark was discovered and people would really find out a little bit more about Genesis? Um, how would that today, being someone that's a millennial, how would that? What about your generation? How would they perceive something like that?
Mm-hmm. I would like to say that people would be able to hold on to that as further evidence to confirm the realities that are expressed and told in Scripture. But unfortunately, I think aside of the reception of discovering something in an artifact way, I think there would be a lot of doubt, a lot of people questioning if it's true, and even if there is truth to what is found, I think there's all, and I think that's just in general. I think that people, unfortunately, it takes a lot to convince or change someone's way of thinking when it comes to spiritual matters. But I do feel confidently that God would use that in a powerful way, in a ministry way, very much so, because he does use physical realities, because it's all a part of God and His kingdom, to validate and confirm who He is and what He's done across time. And so I do, while I believe people would still doubt, I do believe that it would have a tremendous impact on people's faith, and they're really pulling people to even investigate and study and venture into learning more about God further.
I agree. I think it's having something physical that actually is physical proof. I mean, we know as believers we have a faith, and it doesn't require seeing everything, but I think it would make a huge impact on the world, just to see something physical, that the Ark did exist, that the Noah really, the flood really did happen.
Yeah.
So all right, guys. Well, listen, thank you both for coming and being a part of this. I mean, I just was so thrilled to have both of these guys on here talking about their experiences. I mean, hearing what happened on that mountain in 1972, and also with Gabe, both incredible men, and I'm so excited that this thing's going to take off, and we're excited that you can be involved in it. And again, I wanted to tell you guys that you can go to strucktheseries.com, find out more about what we're doing, share, get people involved, be a part of this, make it happen. And then also you can go to strucktheseries.com, click on merch, and right now that code that's like right there, it's right there. I can't even point to it. There it is, right there. Go to strucktheseries.com and put in the code, or click on merch, put on the code STRUCK10, and you can purchase any one or several things. Just give your friends and family a lot of gifts from Struck the Series, or the Struck by God collection, or wait till the No More Rock Monsters comes out. That's coming out soon. But use that promo code and get 10% off your purchase, which is a great deal. And also take a picture, a selfie of yourself. We're going to give another $25 in free Struck gear away. So all you got to do is purchase Struck merchandise, wear it or hold it. Whatever, hold it, take a selfie picture, and then also put the hashtag Struck by God and post it anywhere on social media. We'll see it. And once you do, you could be eligible also for an additional $25 in Struck free gear. So do that. Listen, guys, thanks so much for joining today. We appreciate it. And we'll see you really soon.